Good afternoon to our dear viewers out there. It's nice being back on the program, Viewpoint, for today. I know what we do on the program. We bring distinguished Nigerians to a real pleasure. We want to share with them what their background has been, so that you can benefit from their wealth of experience. We want to get to know them, that as they are growing up, what have they been doing, their educational background, and what they are doing presently. All this so that for those who want mentors or who are mentees, you'll be able to know the kind of people that should be your mentor. So today I have another distinguished Nigerian on the program for today. He's a man of many parts. Maybe before I introduce him, let me just quickly tell you about him. Before doing that, my name is Bumi Babanu, welcoming you on the program Viewpoint for today. So our guest on the program for today is a man of many parts, a distinguished Nigerian who has excelled in his field of endeavor. Not only that, in other areas he has found himself in public service, in governance, academic, just name it. So it's a pleasure having Dr. Akeem Adebola Yusuf on the program for today. Dr. Yusuf, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. We are still talking about you and politics. Governorship candidate, Action Democratic Party, ADP, or your state, 2023.
It was, well, thank God when I studied political science, like I said, I was very actively involved with Babala Doja's campaign, in fact, right from initiating his interest for the 2003 elections and everything. So, but a lot of things have changed. What I saw in my 2023 experience was there is a lot of monetization in politics. There is a lot of treachery in Nigerian politics, a lot of betrayal, a lot of lies. And honestly, people ask me, why did I go through all that trouble? And I say, yes, so at some point you want to see it as trouble. Of course, it's very costly because I practically ran the race on my own finances. But it also gives you a good notion of what is actually wrong with Nigeria. And you see that the people really need a lot of education and a lot of assistance to be able to change their orientation about politics. Because you go out and everybody's like, Kilo Muafua, what do you have for us? What are you going to do? He didn't give us money. Even in some areas where I thought I was supposed to be a hero, some youth went about destroying my billboards and posters because I didn't give them money. And I'm like, if I give you money today, will it feed you for more than a week? Now, almost 3 years down the line, they are complaining in that area that the people that they supported have forgotten them. And I said, they will forget you because you were paid. You were mercenaries. You were commodities. So the experience was, I would say, neither here nor there. But rather than make you run, because if you're lily-livered, you will run. Then if you're doing it for money or for personal aggrandizement, you will say, you will still continue to do it. I tell people, I say, the only reason I'm going to remain in that political space is because I see that we need transformation. Another divine part, somebody said digital transformation, that now we need societal transformation. And when you are in the National Institute, the motto of the National Institute is towards a better society. So now that I've gone into politics and I see that I have a responsibility to do my quota.
But can we have a better society?
We must have a better society. You see, it is going to be difficult changing the mindset, because you need to change the mindset of maybe like 80% of Nigerians, for us to have a better society. But we must start, because the consequences of not starting are far more dangerous than leaving things the way they are. And why do I say that? You have, look at what is happening now, banditry, insecurity, especially in the north. It all started from poverty, lack of formal education, lack of legitimate economic opportunities, jobless hands, because most of these bandits are local boys in their areas, kidnapping their own cousins, kidnapping their own relatives. It is because they do not have jobs. So if we do not do that thing, if we do not make Nigeria a better society, if we do not transform our economy, if we do not create jobs, if we do not reduce corruption, if we do not reduce impunity, we are going to continue to eat up the country. And that insecurity is going to chase all of us, that you will even be afraid of sleeping in your house, talk less of going out.
How can we have a transformed society? Work of the government or the people?
It is the government that will lead up. You see, my own philosophy is people follow the leader. You follow the kind of leadership you have. So the standard of leadership in Nigeria must be upped. We must have responsible governance, we must have responsible leaders, we must have inspirational leaders. But right now, leadership is inspiring the wrong things. We're inspiring corruption. What we're inspiring with governance is the fact that you can get to government and do whatever you like and you'll get away with it. And that will not help society transform until we have what they call servant leadership, until we have responsible governance, until we have the kind of leaders who see themselves as agents of the people and not masters of the people. But it must start. It must start. We must start counting data. We must start counting matrices. How many jobs have you created this year? How many kilometers of road have you completed? How many general hospitals have you done this to? How many schools have you done this to? We must start measuring governance, and it must be the government itself that must be measuring itself and not doing propaganda. When we start that kind of responsible governance, people will start changing. It's going to take years. We've run Nigeria badly for over 60 years. So maybe it's going to take us another 60 years to get there. But if we do not start, we are going to have an Obesian state in Nigeria where it will just be the rule of the jungle. Is whoever gets there first that gets it. And we must not let that.
Like what is happening right now.
Exactly.
And you need to take whatever you can.
It is my own time. Yeah. We're not going to wait for your time.
Don't care about what happens to other people.
Yeah.
I want us to look at the youths of today now. You know, it's like it's now in their dictionary that schooling or education is just, there's a term that they use, that schooling is a scam, education is a scam. When you go around, you see the politicians riding the cars, you see all these Yahoo guys, and now they don't want to focus on education again. So how can we reorientate the mentality of these young ones?
Thank you very much. You see, we can do all the propaganda, all the sloganizing on mass media. One, we first lost it. We lost it when the mass media stopped all the jingles that we grew up with. When we were growing up, you knew certain jingles that would come out at particular times of the year. You would wake up every morning. When you want to cross the road, look left, look right, look left again before you cross the road. So for every kid, you are crossing the road, you know how to cross the road. Even now, something as basic as crossing the road, our youths don't know how to cross the road. When it's time for examinations, and your station was a very good champion of that. Do you do those things? We lost it. You see, we lost it because we lost all that orientation. So we have to bring back things like that. It's going to take a while because, like you said, they are despondent. What if our children are saying education is a scam? They know they are saying education is a ram. They are the same variant of the same thing. So we must not, and it's a dangerous trend. They will see a musician today who is making huge money. But how many musicians are making huge money? Maybe we have 1,000 successful hip-hop artists in Nigeria. I don't know if there are that many. But if we have 1,000 successful hip-hop artists in Nigeria who are making millions, they forget that we are 200 million Nigerians. So there are 199,999,000 Nigerians who are not making money from hip-hop. So by the time we introduce all those moral codes back into our societal life, unfortunately we don't have so many mass media organizations now. The private ones, I think every minute counts so much to them. But we all have a duty to play. We all have a role to play to ensure that the future is not too charged for us to live in. When we do all that moral rearmament through mass and social media, then we have to follow it up with good governance that gives hope.
Yeah.
People go to school. Let them come out, let them be in school knowing fully well that if I am able to achieve this with my education, this will be waiting for me. Many years ago, I had a conversation with a man who, he was a consultant to a bank I was working in. And I told him, and he made the comment, and I reacted to him. I said, sir, in your own time, when you graduated from UI, employers lined up on your convocation days, and they were hustling after graduates for jobs. I said, me, I was lucky I got a job within 2 months of completion of service. But it was a record. It was a record. I said, now children are even coming out of school 3 years, 5 years, they don't get jobs. But you become a whatever political office holder, and suddenly we are driving SUVs all over. And we are not even looking at it that all these SUVs you are driving a 250 million naira SUV, just like Dangote said. You are driving a 250 million naira car. Do you know how many jobs you will create with that kind of money? So we have to start changing our orientation in governance, even in the corporate sector, even in the private sector. That the societies that our children are jackpot into, the vocations our children are trying to use, because everybody is using the digits now for music, for content, for everything, is because some societies are investing in creating opportunities. We were limiting opportunities. So until we start creating opportunities for our children to see that, oh, if I study agriculture, there are these opportunities in the agriculture space. If I study education, there are these opportunities in the... We must be a thinking society. Banking is structured for people that are already in business, who already have a background and they are able to sustain lending, borrowing. You see, one, there are so many roads that lead into a market. So it's not everybody who will be in paid employment. It's also not everybody who will be entrepreneurs. But once the opportunities are there, we do. Like some of us, we're trying to package a system, a venture capital system. Politicians and government will call it empowerment these days and say, oh, we gave them Okada, we gave them... But that is not empowerment because we are giving them things that are not sustainable. So some of us are trying to reason, can you actually bring up something that is purely funding startups? But you also see that there is also the Nigerian factor. I remember years back, Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala was talking about a program that they started to fund young startups. And she said of the first 50 beneficiaries or so, maybe 30, actually diverted the money. Some bought cars, some already had visas to travel and use the money to buy air tickets and run abroad. Some changed the money to dollars, some even spent the money partying. So, but we won't, because of the bad eggs, not do it. We must have a venture capital system in the country that allows young people with initiatives. Okay, I think what Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala did that was you-win, youths with initiative. You see, we cannot stop because of bad eggs. Because the Yorubas will say, "Taba diju keni buruku koja," and really no allow. So we have to make sure that there will always be 20 children sitting in a class. It's not the 20 of them that will pass. Not because the teacher didn't work, but it's just a fact of life. That's why our fingers are not equal. But we must keep running. And even the people who drop off. And that's why I said we must be a thinking society. There will be people who will drop off. Let everybody start by going to school. Let us go back to the model that was to be the 6334. Identify the talents of each child. So we can say, you have this kind of talent, do this. You will see that you are good in soccer, you go to a soccer academy. You are good in athletics, you go to an athletics academy. You are good in handwork, you are going to go to a polytechnic and learn how to actually first go to a technical college and then go to a polytechnic. You see, we have to be deliberate about how we mold our society. But we all have this intention of fast money, quick money. It comes from the top, so I can't blame our youth. I blame the generation before us. I blame my own generation. The generation before us had a grabbing mentality. My own generation have an I don't care mentality. So nobody is inspiring the youth. It is not their fault. So it is also our responsibility now to change the way we make them reason by the way we behave. That is it. And we also will need a lot of honesty and integrity in our youth. Because I've seen people, banking gave me the opportunity to see people that you transformed from a small credit line, and in a short while you see them grow big. I will give an example, I won't mention. Some people wanted to start an educational institution some years ago when I was in banking. And they came to us and we just looked at it. It was even in the area when private universities were just starting. So they needed 20 million naira to work to get NUC accreditation. So we gave them the 20 million. They got the approval in principle to start the university. And within the first 3 days of resumption, they paid back the 20 million. Less than 5 years into running that institution, we were fighting to borrow them 700 million naira. But it took a 20 million naira. So if people are honest with initiatives, if they have integrity, everything you want to do can grow. But we all have this fast, quick money attitude.
Let's look at the academic institutions now. We have so many private tertiary institutions in Nigeria. And we even got to a time when the federal government said they don't allow more institutions in this country. But then, thinking about the number of students coming out of secondary schools every year and a lot not getting admission, do you think it's wise for us not to have more private institutions to cater for the needs of those children?
No, definitely we'll need to have more. Definitely, because when you look at the annual enrollment for the Unified Matriculation Examinations, I'm sure maybe by this year's UME, they will probably cross the 3 million candidates mark. With the total number of institutions in the country today, I don't think the admission capacity is even up to 1.5 million. So right before they sit for the exams, 1 million people will not get admitted. Not through any fault of theirs in many cases, but just because we do not have enough space to put them in. So definitely we need more educational institutions, more tertiary educational outlets. And government alone cannot do it, because government will try to squeeze something into what we're doing, what they can afford. And that is not the quality that the world economy is built upon now. But more importantly than creating those academic institutions, we must also create opportunities of what those students are going to do after education. I remember when I was, an initiative we had while we were in the cabinet with Kabisi Ladoja was, one day we were discussing and we said, look at all these children who are coming out in their secondary school uniforms, closing from school every day. We need to make preparations for what they are going to be doing 5 years, 10 years after secondary school. So if we are creating academic institutions, we must also be remembering to create economic opportunities, employment opportunities, initiative opportunities, so that everybody comes out knowing fully well that there will be something to engage them. Otherwise, they will keep thinking education is a scam.
Now, the recent tax reform in the country, people are agitating that probably the government will just be removing their money anyhow.
The most important part is that it will always be difficult to start something new.
Yeah.
And I'm sure even the government just has an idea that they want to do something. They too may not have been able to think it all through, because until you get onto the field, you are not going to go. But one thing I want to let people know is that may that day never come that government in Nigeria will just directly debit your account and say they are charging you tax. From that day, we have become a totalitarian state. So people will still be, I think what is going to happen, people will still be expected to file tax returns like they do in developed countries. So that day must not come that a Nigerian government will be able to go into anybody's account and say we have debited you tax. It must not happen. We will have become a totalitarian state. What the government will expect everybody to do is that maybe January every year, you are now going to file your tax return yourself. Go to for an individual, you go to your state internal revenue service, or for companies, you go to the National Revenue Service and say, this is me for the year. Many companies are already used to that. You file your annual tax returns with the National Revenue Service, but now it's going to be compulsory. But what they are going to say is, every money that comes into your account, every money that goes out of your account, they want to see the narration, because some people are going to spool it. But it's not going to be as, it's not like Armageddon is coming. Because where are the people who will review tax returns of maybe 50 million people in 1 month in Nigeria? You understand? So, but what it also calls for is that let us have a high level of responsibility in how we spend money. Let us track everything that comes in, genuinely report it. But people don't have to be so scared that it is going to happen.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Well, we're having a conversation with Dr. Hakeem Adebola Yusuf, who has been a guest on the program Viewpoint for today. I want to thank you very much for being part of the show. So it's on this note that we are wrapping it up on today's edition of the program Viewpoint. I thank you very much for being part of the show, and I want you to join us sometime next week for a fresh edition when we shall be bringing another distinguished Nigerian to the program. Until then, bye for now.
This is AFCON, my friend. Everything is a competition. every